Amin. Hi, Amin.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Did you know that, I didn't realize this, but tennis balls come in sealed containers?
Yeah,
Yes.
for the freshness. It has to pop, right?
Yeah, I had no idea. Well, I opened it and it was like, poof. I was like, what?
They got to preserve the freshness of the balls.
I did not know this.
Yeah, yeah. I gather your tennis career hasn't been very long then, Josh.
What's that? What did you say, George?
What's
He was
that?
complimenting you on your tennis career.
Oh, you know, we just got these today. This one is actually still sealed. So I don't know how many we're gonna need, so. We got six.
Like two apiece, so that we could do both sides. If you don't have two, we could just use one, and then I'll just tell you to the other side.
I thought we may have used two before, so I got her to get 2 packages of 3.
Yeah. Is there anything else that's sore other than the low back?
Diane says her head, Mark.
Well, maybe that one will be good when we stick the balls up here and go into bridge pose.
Yeah.
Is there any yoga poses that help with migraines? Not that I have any, but
I don't have one either.
Yeah, that might help just to release in
Davina,
your upper traps and stuff, because that's where we tend to carry it.
Yeah.
How many balls do we need?
two per person.
Huh?
2 each if you have them. But if you only have 1 each, I can help you guys out too and give you times when to switch.
Okay.
Okay.
We have quite a few actually. Did you notice that some of them have the labels on them? They're from the science project that Julia did.
they're of course in the bottom container, but that in the garage.
George, Jill says that she can hear you, but she doesn't have a mic on her TV.
Okay. I noticed that Jay was on a while ago, but yeah.
We can't switch the damn thing.
Is that a red boot? It's a red boot.
Rubber boot, yes.
That's not.
I'll wait for you to go ahead,
It's not.
I don't know if I've got the volume at full capacity, so I'll try to.
Is your phone sideways, Amin?
Huh?
Amin, is your phone sideways?
Yes.
Is that on purpose?
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to figure out how to put it on the standing up.
Oh, I put mine sideways too. That's interesting that you say that.
Okay, take the phone out of the stand and show me the tripod.
Are you talking to Diane or to?
No, I'm talking to Amin.
Okay.
Oops.
Huh?
Where did it go?
I don't see your picture now. Okay, so show me the tripod.
Yeah. How do I turn it?
I tilt down so I can see it. Okay, so there's a little knob on the side.
Yeah.
That you loosen and tighten to get the angle. So tighten it so what that thing is pointing straight up.
Yeah.
And then you lift up on the clamp and then put the phone in sideways so that the phone is sideways sitting on top of the tripod.
Okay, so we're.
But you have to make sure that your phone is set to rotate, so it automatically rotates.
Oh.
I think if your phone is if automatic rotation is turned off, then it'll look sideways.
Okay.
There. There, it's okay now.
I know,
There we
There
go.
you go.
There we go. We got it.
perfect. Okay, yeah, there you go. So then spread the clamp apart and then put the
Yeah.
phone in and then clamp it. And then
Okay.
loosen the knob. And then swing the camera around and then tighten it and then you're good.
Yeah,
We're good.
we're good now.
Perfect. Look at that. We're not staring at the light. This is awesome.
Oh, my goodness.
This is
Oh,
always fun, eh?
Yeah.
Are you guys ready for it? Watch this. I'm gonna open this can.
Can you show us?
Ooh.
What is it?
So we can get the tennis ball.
What's that?
Oh,
With
you can
It's
talk
a
for
can.
us.
It's
What'd
when
you do,
you open
Josh?
a brand new can of tennis balls. Here, I'll flip my camera.
Look at mine.
When you
Ooh.
open a brand new can of tennis balls, they're sealed. So when you,
Oh, it's
when you crack it, it's pressurized. The can is actually pressurized. So then you take the lid off. But before this was under pressure. So when you open it, it's like opening a can of pop. It pops.
I think Josh
Pop the
found a new
magic
toy.
dragon.
Yeah, I had no idea that the cans, like George says, that they have to keep them fresh and under pressure.
So brings new meaning to a tennis player saying, I want fresh balls.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they have to come from a sealed container. So I don't know if they leak out, if they're not under pressure, or what the scoop is.
It's funny, Jill said the same thing I said. It's just like chips, Pringles.
What I wonder if the balls are pressurized, and then if you put them in a container that's also pressurized, then there's no stress on the rubber,
Could be. I don't know the theory behind it, but
right? Because if there's no differential pressure across the surface of the rubber, then there's no stress on it.
yeah, that could be very well true, my friend.
Anyway, that's
I
my
got
thought.
another one.
Because if I squeeze this, it's about the same pressure as the can was.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know the science around this whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
why we have engineers.
We'll have to
All
go
right.
to Wimbledon and figure it out.
Someday.
Is there 1 or 2 balls?
2 balls.
2 balls.
Two balls, 1 ball, no balls.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're ready with 2 balls.
All right, well, let's start tossing that laying down on their back.
If you insist, Mark.
Where are we on it?
Yeah.
Take a deep inhale through your nose. And exhale it all out. Deep inhale through your nose.
Where is it?
And with every inhale and exhale, allowing your body to begin to settle. Allowing your mind to begin to rest. Taking this opportunity to let the day slow down. Taking time to check in with yourself this evening. Notice how you're feeling. Notice how your body's feeling. Taking a few moments to scan from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. Noticing if you're carrying any tension. Breathing into those areas, letting your breath soften anything that might be a little bit stiff. Bring ease to anything that might be tense. Bringing a little bit of relief to anything that might be sore. Letting your body find a little bit more rest. Taking note of any thoughts that might be rising up. Gently acknowledging them. Letting them continue to pass by. Drawing your attention back to your breath. Back to your inhales. And your exhales. And take a few moments to set an intention for the class this evening. Something you wish to receive from your practice. On the next inhale, slowly begin to wiggle your fingers. Gently moving your toes. Slowly waking up your body. Drawing your attention back to the room. Then on the next inhale, slowly draw those knees into your chest. Giving them a nice big hug. Gently rocking a little bit of side to side. A little bit of forward and backwards. Circling your knees in one direction. Then circling your knees in the opposite direction. Then opening your arms up into a T and gently letting those knees fall to the right side. Keeping your left shoulder blade pressed into the mat. Adjusting those knees, whether you draw them closer to your chest or you soften that knee bend. Maybe you slide a block underneath the knees. Breathing into any sensations that you might be feeling. Allowing your breath to soften those areas. Letting your body find a little bit more rest. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. Then slowly begin to draw those knees back to center. And then gently letting the knees fall to the left side. Keeping that right shoulder blade pressed into the mat. Adjusting your knees, whether you draw them closer to your chest or you soften that knee bend. Maybe you slide a block underneath the knees. Breathing into any sensations that you might be feeling on this side. Letting your breath soften those areas. Finding a little bit more rest in the twist. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. And then slowly begin to draw those knees back up to center. And then open up to happy baby. Grab the outside of those feet. Open the knees nice and wide. Gently rocking a little bit forward and backwards. A little bit of side to side. Then drawing those knees back together and letting them sway to the left, to the right. Gently letting your knees fall to the left side or to the right side, coming into fetal position. And we'll take a couple breaths here. Take a deep inhale. And a deep exhale. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Then slowly begin to press your way up. And making your way to tabletop position. So the first posture we're going to come in tonight is without the balls. We're going to come into puppy pose, which will start to soften our shoulders. So keeping those hips on top of the knees, begin to walk your hands out. And you can come onto the forearms to start. Or maybe you can stretch those hands out. And maybe your forehead rests on the mat. Or maybe your chin. The option to always keep those elbows bent. Or maybe you open your arms up a little bit wider, which will soften the posture. Keep breathing into those shoulders. And notice how your shoulders feel. Do you feel a little bit more on the left shoulder or a little bit more on the right shoulder? Can you adjust in any way to make it feel even? Or can you send your breath to that specific shoulder? Allowing your breath to soften any sensation. Letting your body find a little bit more rest. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. And then slowly begin to walk those hands up. Nice and gently. And then pushing our way back to child's pose. So sitting back on those feet. Bending the elbows, rounding your spine and tucking your chin. Take a few more breaths here, allowing your shoulders to soften. Take one more inhale, one more exhale. Then slowly begin to come back to tabletop position. And making sure that you have your balls ready we're going to come into Sphinx pose. But we're going to do Sphinx pose twice tonight. So we're going to attack our psoas, which is where your belly button is, and then where your hip bones are. So kind of like in between your hip bones and your navel. So right there, if I'm showing you. So that's where we're gonna try to aim the balls when we're laying on our stomach. And then we're gonna do Sphinx again for our quads after that. So lay down on the stomach, and maybe you rotate to one hip and try to find that spot. And then roll over on the other one. And you might have to adjust, so you might have to lower it or make it higher. And then from here, come onto the forearms, coming into Sphinx pose. And from here, you could gently roll a little bit from side to side, finding the places that might have a little bit of sensation. And if you're not feeling anything, just try to roll the ball maybe in a different location. But keep breathing into any areas that you might be feeling a little bit of sensations. And when you feel like maybe that place is kind of relaxed, you could always maybe roll a little bit more, trying to find another location. Maybe you roll a little bit more forward so it goes a little bit lower. We'll take a few more breaths here. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. So then from here, slowly remove the balls. And then staying in Sphinx pose, we're gonna come into seal pose. So from here, maybe you walk your hands up to the edges of the mat, pressing into the palms of the hands, opening up this posture. With a few more breaths here, trying to soften those shoulders. Drawing them down and away from your ears. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Then slowly begin to lower down. As you draw your hands together and letting your forehead rest on the top of your hands. So we're just going to come into a few breaths here. Noticing how your psoas feels. How your low spine feels. Can you soften those shoulders? Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Very nice. Then from here, we're going to come into our quads. So you're going to take the tennis balls and place them about like 6 inches above your knee. And then you find that spot. And if you only have one, we'll hold one side for 45 seconds to a minute, and then we'll switch to the other side. But then again, come into Sphinx pose. And this one, you can keep your toes actually rotated under, because then you can use your toes to roll forward and backwards. Again, trying to find the spots where you might feel a little bit of sensitivity. And once you find it, trying to allow your body to rest. And notice if you clench, notice when you feel something, do you grip your hands? Does your lower back tighten? And trying to allow those areas to soften. Trying to allow those shoulders to rest. And again, when you feel that trigger point has released, you can always try to move around again. If you only have one tennis ball, switch to the other side. And you can maybe even release the toes and see how that feels. Do you feel a more intensity when you release the toes? I do a little bit more. We'll take a few more breaths here. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Then slowly remove the tennis balls. And then from here, drawing the hands together and letting that forehead rest on the top of the hands. And notice how the quads feel. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. Very nice. Draw your hands underneath your shoulders. Push up to tabletop. And then kick your feet to one side or another. Coming into a seated position with your feet out in front of you. We're going to do our hamstrings. So if you have one tennis ball, placing that, again, about 6 inches, but then you can play with it. And sometimes if you don't feel a sensation on your hamstrings and you have a block, you can always put the blocks underneath and then place that ball as well, which will bring a little bit more intensity. And then from here, we're going to reach our hands up. And you can point your toes or flex your feet, whatever feels comfortable, and then begin to lean forward. So coming into a forward fold. Inhale, maybe you draw up your chest a little bit. Exhale, can you walk your fingertips out a little bit further? And you might have to roll the balls around too on this to try to find that spot. Can you soften those kneecaps? Soften your shoulders. Breathe into that low spine. And if you only have one tennis ball, then switch it to the other side. Then trying to soften those shoulders. Maybe you need to place the ball in another location. You can always play with flexing your feet or pointing your toes. What are the sensations that you feel? Sometimes we might feel a little bit more when our toes are pointed, or a little bit more when our feet are flexed. We'll take a few more breaths here. Take one more inhale. One more exhale, very nice. Then slowly begin to walk your hands up. Then removing the tennis balls And then from here, we're gonna come right onto our calves. So we're gonna draw the balls onto our calves. And so from here, you can roll around. And again, pointing your toes, you'll feel a different sensation than from having your feet flex. And if you even want more intensity, you can like shift those hips up a little bit and roll. And then again, when you find that place that's a little bit sticky, or you feel a little bit of a knot, you can always try and let the tennis balls on that spot a little bit more, trying to find a little bit of release. Keep sending your breath to those areas. And if you only have one tennis ball, switch the tennis ball to the other side. You can even try to maybe roll to the outside of your calves if that's possible. Try not to lose the tennis ball. Maybe rotate on the inside as well. Nice, we'll take one more inhale. One more exhale. Very nice, and slowly remove the tennis balls. And maybe gently give your legs a little bit of a shake. Then kick your feet to one side or another. We're gonna do one more for our IT band. So the one that runs alongside of that leg. So we're gonna come into tabletop position and set up for downward dog so that we can set up for pigeon pose. So planting our hands, curling our toes, send our hips up and back, floating that right leg, then draw that right knee to your right wrist, your right ankle to your left. Release those left toes and maybe walk that left foot back a little bit. Inhale, walk the hands up to set the hips. And then take that tennis ball, and I'll go this way so you guys can see me. And then try to find that place. So maybe you have to lean a little bit on it. So it's more like a deer pose as opposed to a pigeon pose. So when you just try to find that spot, I would actually come into deer pose. So let's do deer pose. That's gonna feel a bit better. And then from here, you can always work that ball up the leg closer to the hip socket, or you can even go down. And then when you find that spot, take an inhale, and then exhale, maybe you walk your hands out. And you can always adjust your leg too when you're here. So maybe you draw it more in, maybe you draw it more out. But keep breathing in. And maybe here you take the time to maybe roll the ball up a little bit higher, finding another place. Maybe you roll it a little bit lower. Maybe you walk your hands out a little bit further. And notice if your breath has changed. Notice when you feel those sensations, do your shoulders tense up? And trying to have that opposite effect by trying to soften those shoulders, breathing into the sensations. We'll take one more inhale here. One more exhale. Then slowly begin to walk those hands up. And then begin to walk the hands over to the right. So coming into twisted deer. And so from here, you'll probably feel maybe you roll the ball to a different location. Take an inhale. And then exhale, maybe you walk your hands out, coming onto your forearms. And notice how this sensation changes. You need to adjust the tennis ball. We'll take one more inhale here. One more exhale. Very nice. Slowly walk those hands up. Remove that tennis ball. And then kick your feet forward. And then we'll come into Shavasana. So just to come into a little bit of a rebound. So laying down on our backs. Letting our palms face up. Allowing the sensations in that right leg to soften. And when you're here, notice how the right side feels different than the left side. Allowing your shoulders to soften. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. Then slowly begin to draw those knees into your chest. Gently rocking a little bit of side to side. A little bit of forward and backwards. Then letting your knees sway from the left to the right. Gently letting your knees fall to the right side or to the left side. Coming into fetal position. And then slowly begin to press your way up. Making your way back to tabletop position so we can set up for deer pose on the other side. So coming into tabletop, curling those toes, sending those hips up and back. Floating that left leg. Then drawing that left knee to your left wrist. Your left ankle to your right. Release those right toes. Take that tennis ball. And then begin to lean down onto that left hip. Coming into deer pose. Bending that right knee. And finding that spot on this side. And then squaring your shoulders. And then exhale, maybe you walk your hands out. And notice how this side feels different than the other. Do you need to place the ball in a different location? Do you maybe need to roll the ball closer to the outside of the leg or maybe closer to the inside? Maybe you just the ball closer to your hip. Or maybe closer to your knee. And maybe you're in that perfect spot, or maybe you need to adjust the ball one more time. Breathing into those sensations. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Then slowly begin to walk those hands up. Then begin to walk your hands over to the left. Coming into twisted deer. Take an inhale. And exhale, maybe begin to walk those hands out. Coming onto your forearms. Notice how the sensations change. You need to adjust the tennis ball. Take a few more breaths here. Allowing your shoulders to soften. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Then slowly begin to walk those hands up. Removing the tennis ball. Coming back into Shavasana, so swinging the legs forward, laying down onto our backs. Allowing your palms to face up. And notice how this left side feels. As it begins to release from the posture. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. Then taking both tennis balls, or taking one, whatever you have, and bending those knees. So now we're going to work on our spine. So you're going to take the tennis balls, and you're going to find your pelvis bone and try to place them on opposite sides of your spine. And then from here, you can keep your knees on the mat. You could always roll a little bit from side to side, try and find that spot. And don't worry, we're going to work up our back. And so you can always keep your feet on the mat, or maybe you extend them out. And maybe that gives a little bit more of a sensation. Allow your palms to face up. And again, maybe you have to adjust to find those knots. And again, you might not always feel like an intense sensation, then that's okay. You can leave the balls there and just let it rest. And then maybe you adjust, maybe you come back on drawing the soles of your feet back onto the mat. Maybe you roll a little bit from side to side. Maybe gently a little bit of forward and backwards. Maybe you find another spot. Kind of soften those shoulders. Maybe you again re-straighten those legs. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. Then as your feet are out straight, draw the soles of your feet back onto the mats. Shift your hips up a little bit and slowly slide the balls out from underneath. Whew. So then from here, we're going to come into our upper traps. So you guys can stay laying down. I'll just show you where our target area is. We've done this one before, but you want that meaty part that's by your shoulder blade and your spine. So there's like a little bit of a juicy part, and you want to try to stick the ball in that place. And if you can't find the place, you can ask your partner to help you out. And they can help maybe push it into where you feel the sensations. And then from here, to allow your palms to face up when you find that spot. So this is your upper traps, a little bit of your shoulders. So you could always stay here if this is already intense. If you want a little bit more of an intensity, you could always come into bridge pose. Maybe even make it a supported bridge by adding a block underneath your tailbone. Or maybe you just play with lowering down and then raising back up. Whatever feels comfortable. And if you're in supported bridge or if your hips are down on the mat, and again, you want to intensify it a little bit more, slowly begin to lift that right hand up and then bring it all the way back, nice and slow. Again, we're looking for heat and a little bit of a sensation. And then from here, you can begin to open it up to the right, nice and slow, circling it back down. And then switching sides, maybe you begin to lift that left hand up, nice and slow. And then begin to circle it back down and around. And maybe from here you take both hands and draw them both up. Nice and slow. And if you feel the spot where it's sticky, maybe you just hold here. Breathing into the sensations. And then maybe you slowly lower your arms back in front of your head. And then circle them back down and around. And the option to try it in supported bridge if you're not in supported bridge. But we'll take one more inhale here. One more exhale. And if you're in supported bridge, shift those hips up. Remove that block. And then slowly begin to remove the balls. And then from here, come into Shavasana for a moment. So that was a pretty intense one. Allow your palms to face up. Allow those shoulders to soften. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Then draw the soles of the feet back onto the mats. So now we did the upper trap. So now we're going to come down a little bit lower. So, and you can play with it. So the meaty part of there. So you're going to want to come a little bit lower than your shoulder blades. And you want to try to aim for the tennis balls to be where my thumbs are. And for this one, you can start maybe a little bit lower. So you can start them lower, and then maybe you just walk your feet forward as you find that spot. And then you can shift the balls in so that they're even on both sides. And from here again, to always intensify, you could shift the hips up a little bit. Breathing into the sensations. You can always maybe straighten your legs and see how that changes the sensations. We'll take a few more breaths here. Kind of soften those shoulders. So if your feet are straight, draw the soles of the feet back onto the mats. So from here, your option is maybe to go up a little bit higher and feel how that feels. So walk your feet down, or maybe you walk the tennis balls back up so that they're on your lower spine. And then always you can keep your knees bent, or maybe you straighten those legs. Allow your palms to face up. Keeping your breath nice and deep. Take one more inhale here. One more exhale. Then either drawing your soles of your feet back onto the mat, shift your hips up to slide the blocks, the balls from underneath your spine, and then come back into Shavasana just for a couple breaths. Noticing how your spine feels. Notice how your shoulders feel. And we'll come into a nice restorative pose. So take that block. We'll come into waterfall or a cushion. So soles of the feet on the mat. Shift your hips up. Slide that block underneath your tailbone and straighten those legs. Allow your palms to face up. You can have a slight bend in the knees. Softening your shoulder. And the option too from waterfall, if you want to take it into plow pose, feel free. Just keeping your neck nice and straight. Breathing into the shoulders. One more inhale here. One more exhale. And if you're in plow pose, begin to unroll vertebrae by vertebrae all the way down. If you're in waterfall, shift those hips up. Slide that block from underneath. And then draw those knees into your chest. Giving them a nice big squeeze. Gently rocking a little bit of side to side. A little bit of forward and backwards. Circling your knees in one direction. Circling your knees in the opposite direction. Then open your arms up into a T and gently letting those knees fall to the right side. Keeping your left shoulder blade pressed into the mat, adjusting your knees, whether you draw them closer to your chest or you soften them, drawing them away. Breathing to any sensations that you might be feeling. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Then slowly draw those knees back up to center. And letting the knees shift over to that left side. Keeping your right shoulder blade pressed into the mat. Adjusting the knees, whether you draw them closer to your chest or you soften that knee bend. Breathing into any sensations that you might be feeling on this side. Letting your breath soften those areas. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Then slowly draw those knees back up to center. Open up to happy baby. Grab the outside of those feet. Open the knees nice and wide. Gently rocking a little bit of forward and backwards. A little bit of side to side. Take one full inhale together. And exhale, open up to Shavasana. Legs as wide as the mat. palms to face up, letting your body melt into the mats, taking this opportunity to let go. Letting your body find rest. Letting your mind find peace. Breathing into any areas where you might be feeling tension. Letting your breath soften those areas. Letting the tension dissolve. Taking note of any thoughts that might be rising up. Gently acknowledging them. Letting them continue to pass by. Drawing your attention back to your breath. Back to your inhales and your exhales. Letting your body find a little bit more rest. Your mind to find a little bit more peace. And as your body finds rest this evening, letting your practice the benefits from all the postures, let it sink deep into your muscles, into your mind, and into your body. On the next inhale, slowly begin to wiggle those fingers. Gently moving your toes. Slowly waking up your body. Drawing your attention back to the room. And on the next inhale, slowly reach those arms up and overhead. And then grabbing one wrist and gently pulling it to one side of the room, feeling the stretch in that side body. Then release that wrist, grab the other wrist and gently pull it to the opposite side. Release that wrist, reach your hands to the very back of the room and your feet to the front. Take a full body stretch on that next inhale. Exhale, let it all go. Then slowly drawing that right knee into your chest, giving it a nice big squeeze. Showing it some love. And then gently adding a little bit of movement back. Then release your right leg, draw in that left knee. Give it a nice big squeeze. Gently rocking it a little bit of side to side. Showing it some love. Then draw that right knee back into your chest. Give them both a big squeeze. Gently rock a little bit of side to side. A little bit of forward and backwards. Circle your knees in one direction. Circle your knees in the opposite direction. Then let your knees sway from the left to the right. Gently letting your knees fall to the right side or to the left side. Coming into fetal position. Letting your head cradle into your arm. Offering breaths of gratitude. Grateful to our bodies. Grateful to our practice this evening. That we took time out for ourselves. Take a few moments to reflect on the intention you set at the beginning of practice. Take a deep inhale. And a deep exhale. Then slowly begin to press your way up. Making your way to a seated position, keeping those eyes closed and drawing your hands to heart center when you arrive. Take a deep inhale. And a deep exhale. On the next inhale, draw a gentle smile to your face. Exhale it all out. Take a few moments to thank your body for all the hard work it did this evening. I thank you, and I'm very humbled by your practice. Namaste. Thank you, guys. Hope you liked it.
Great, Mark.
Okay, now you can talk.
Felt
You can
good
talk,
on the back.
George.
Yeah.
Did you say something, Davina?
No, I said you can talk now, George.
I'm talking.
You were talking before I hit the mic, and so they probably just heard a wee bit.
Oh, sorry. It was great, Mark. It was great.
Yeah.
I felt my back and my shoulder.
The upper trap ones, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You go into the glute bridge, it's like, woo. And then
Yeah.
the hands, right? Like, can you
Yeah.
feel?
That was intense, actually.
It was.
You felt that, eh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's
Good.
different.
Well, you guys.
Yeah.
different,
Okay.
eh? Yeah.
What's that in front of me?
Want to ask a question?
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Great class. And the change up for the back work was good for me too.
Yeah. So I wanted to, because George was having back like the back sensitivity. So I was like, oh, I'll just do the end with the back. So that'll be good. We'll take all the big formas at the beginning, you know, like all the big legs, and then do our back. So
Aw, George, hope your back feels better soon.
It was great.
yeah.
How's your
Good.
knees?
Whose knee?
Yours. Who else? The neighbor.
They're fine. They're fine.
Davina,
Morning.
it started raining during one of our walks recently, and so we started running, Julia, George, and I, and he ended up stopping while Julia and I kept running. So I think that's indicative of where he's at.
No, my knees aren't sore. They're good. I'm ready to run.
You know,
We heard that
Pinocchio
one
in the
before, right,
long
Julie?
nose? Yeah, and anytime the Pinocchio lies, remember the nose grows.
Yeah. See, me and Julie are going like this. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Don't. I'll
be back.
See, Julie's laughing too.
Just like the old days, Julie, I'll be back.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. Okay. Amina's upstairs now.
Oh, yeah, because she wants to talk about it.
So you guys are comfortable with food and everything?
You want us, you're
No,
asking
no,
us
no.
if we,
Like, I mean, I'm serving food.
are
we
you
think-
asking if we're allergic to anything?
No,
No.
no. Are you guys comfortable with that? Like, because, you know, because of the corona and stuff like that? I
Oh,
don't know.
we still have to eat.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, oh my God, you know, like,
But what do you, Jill says she's good too. What do you want us to bring?
nothing.
Oh,
I
no,
just
no.
want
Why
to-
don't we contribute somehow?
Oh God, nothing. Just bring yourself. Yeah. I have.
I'll
it
make
under
some goodies.
control. Huh?
He'll bake some goodies.
Okay, whatever. But I mean, you don't have to.
No, but I mean, we can contribute salads. We can contribute a plate of some kind, a dip or something.
No, I'm all good. I got my brother and my sister-in-law helping me, so I'm pretty good. You know, so, and he's gonna be so surprised. He knows that I can't keep surprises, right? My phone has been ringing constantly, and he says, "Who's been texting you?" And I'm going, "Oh, just my sister-in-law. That's all, you know." He says, "Are you up to something?" And I said, "No."
He's suspicious already.
Yeah.
I guess it's the
Huh?
one time it's the one time in the year when you're allowed to lie to yourself.
I know. Not that I don't lie.
Not
See,
lie,
my
you're
nose
just
is going like
kidding.
this.
Kidding.
But I'm looking forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah, we are
We
too.
are too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
guys.
it's been a long time, and it's like I said to Karen, Karen, I went for a run with her. Coming back, I started crying.
Aw.
You know, I said, I miss everyone. You know, I miss this, you know, like being part of the group. I'm gonna cry now again. Sorry.
No crying, Davina, no crying.
That's why I just miss you guys, you know, like that. You know how people person I am?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't talked to you guys in a long time. I just shut myself up and that's it. So,
Well, we'll be seeing you.
Soon.
Yeah.
okay. Hey, look, Julie's, what do you call this? Dimples are coming out.
I see Julie's dimples. Yep.
Always into the sun. Sun goes out.
All right.
Well, you guys have a good night.
Thank you. See you Saturday.
See you Saturday.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Bye.
Mark.
I don't know how. There we go.